celebrating 17 years of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, David Reynolds.
Welcome to Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill. The name of the show is Anything is Possible because it is. And I believe in communities. When we started this show, the idea was if we could take a look at the people of possibility in our community, maybe we could inspire more people to be possibility people. I mean, I really do think community development is people development, because if you have a person that decides to live their best life and to give their best selves, not only to their families but their communities, we all get better. We all benefit from that. That the people in the room at the table that can diagnose problems are great, but the ones that can fix them are greater. Yeah. And the people that go, no, it's possible, it's able to be. So David Reynolds is with us, CEO of Home Federal, and you guys have been a big part of sharing that possibility. So first, let me say thank you and welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. We've been a sponsor of this show and a cheerleader for this show for a number of years. So thank you for letting us be on here.
You grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee?
I did, just like you.
Tell me about growing up in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Grew up, you'd know the place, on the side of Missionary Ridge and in Brainerd, and was raised there. Part of my story is my dad had a brain tumor when I was about 9 years old, passed away real suddenly, 90 days from when he was diagnosed.
Do you remember what that felt like?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Tough time, and tough for my mom. She was 39.
You had siblings?
Little sister, and so that was a definitely marker on our family.
How did it mark you? Did you feel a weight of responsibility at that age? How does a 9-year-old process that?
There was some weight of responsibility, but I think it was just that void. That was definitely the first time I ever really thought about praying to God. That was, just kind of wondering what's going on. That's something that I think forever changes someone's outlook, that you realize our time on earth is not forever. When you lose someone very close to you, I think you recognize that, and it does mark you in some ways.
So your father passes away. You still got to go to school. You still got to figure out life.
Yes.
Does it make it more sober, more somber, or do you kind of just throw yourself into being a kid and going forward in life?
I think for me, my mom is great. She's still alive, 96 years old, doing well. But I think for her, she was looking at how can I help my son, deal with that. Went to an all-boys school. When
Macaulay, the famous Macaulay.
Yeah. But my years there, it just didn't connect. And I think some of it was probably just the scars of Daddy not being there. And
what I would imagine is you're at Macaulay and stuff's going on and kids are talking about their dads.
I think the bigger thing for me was, particularly back then, it was very competitive athletically and also academically. And I wasn't in the groove with that, and I needed more coaching, mentoring. And, sometimes for some kids in high school and middle school, it clicks with someone. Sometimes it doesn't. And it just didn't click for me. And so there'd be days, I remember certainly like 9th, 10th grade, I would go to school and I wouldn't say a word to anyone. No teacher, no student. I just kind of went, did my thing, didn't want to get noticed, get home. As I got older, that changed some, but it wasn't, a joyful time for me.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like the makings of a CEO, right?
I don't think so.
This is like
it didn't seem that way.
Didn't seem that way.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. When we come back, more of our visit with David Reynolds. This is Anything is Possible.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
Because I'm 65, I need to find someone else who would be a good leader for this organization.
My guest is David Reynolds, CEO of Home Federal. You're a Macaulay man at this point, right? But you're maybe, and I don't know if this would translate, but it seems like you felt like a Macaulay misfit.
I did. One joy there was my senior year. They did away with military uniforms and all this stuff, and I was real happy with that. I did not like that part of it.
Now, as you're going to school, did you have any vision for what you wanted to do with your life, or what you thought was possible with your life?
I did not. And in fact, even after college, I got out thinking.
You went to Furman, correct?
Yes.
What did you study at Furman?
Business economics.
Okay.
It's a liberal arts school, so you had a wide range. But I knew I wanted to be in business. I liked some accounting courses, so some of the things a banker would like. And really, I think, realized I didn't want to be a CPA per se, but maybe something like banking or insurance would work for me. But really, it was a tough job market. I was just trying to find a job.
Where'd you land?
I landed at a local bank in Chattanooga, and they had an opening, and it was in credit department, $8,000 a year, and I was real happy for a job and to get out of my parents' house at that point.
So were you still kind of cloistered internally? Were you still kind of going through life where you're like, let me just do life, let me survive life, but not a whole lot of, let me just stay to myself, go to work?
Absolutely not. My senior year in high school, I remember just feeling frustrated about the loneliness and stuff, and I kind of had a relationship with God in the sense that I tried to open the Bible, but it was King James, and it might as well have been Greek for me. And I just remember one time saying a little prayer in my bedroom, just, if this is for real, you need to show me, because I'm not going to sit around feeling guilty about do this, don't do that kind of stuff. And a couple of weeks later, I had a friend that had been in the 7th grade with me, but we had kept up. He had moved to Atlanta, and he called and he said, "Hey, see if your parents will let you go to this camp for graduation from high school." And as he was hanging up, he kind of mumbled something about, by the way, it's some Christians. And so I kind of remember thinking, maybe this is the answer to my story. And that summer, I got on a bus went out west to a Young Life camp, and literally within hours of getting on that bus, I just realized this is totally a world I've never been a part of. I felt connected. I felt just enjoyed people. They had girls, which after Macaulay, you wanted to see girls, and it was just that month that it was like 4 weeks that we kind of went around the West and ended up at a Young Life camp, and it was just life changing. I couldn't say a moment. I just could say I came back from that trip totally different.
God has that effect, right?
He does. It's amazing.
And I think about you as a CEO, right? Servant leaders have a different assignment. I mean, we can kind of judge your performance by the metrics of the bank,
yes.
right? We know, because in that world, it's math.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah.
You can't hide from it. It's it's math, and it's on the page, and we're making money or we're not. But when you are leading the culture of an organization, if you think about Young Life and about inviting people into an experience where they enjoy life better because they're closer to God and they feel His presence, and then God starts to draw out of them their potential to really infect and affect the world. I think CEOs have that same charge. There's a balance sheet, and then there's a balance sheet.
Yes.
Helping people be in a healthy place where their life is balanced, and as a result of that, they are more productive and they move closer to God. And as a CEO, I bet you, as you've gone through your career, you found that in order to be a great leader, you got to help other people shine.
Yeah, I've been at Home Federal over almost 25 years now. Most of that time, I wasn't looking at, can I be the CEO of the bank?
Yeah, I don't get that sense from you. I get the sense that you're almost surprised, like, okay, this is where God has me.
Yeah.
But I wasn't angling for it.
Right. And I think really within Home Federal, that's where most people are, that I have a job to do, and I want to be content in the job that I've been given to do. And if there are some other things that the organization or people around me want me to do, I'll step into that. But fun of really for a bunch of years, my retired boss, Dale Kiesling, and Dale worked long after the typical retirement age, and was wonderful to guide us during really troubled times in our industry. The recession in 2008 and 2009 was particularly devastating to the banking industry, and so it was really great to have him there. And I just remember thinking, if he retires, there are two or three of us that could step into his role. We were all had been there a while and doing our jobs well. And just I had time to think and pray of, if that doesn't work out, that's good. Here's some things that I think God wants me to do in both my work and in the community and in my church. But if it does work out, that could be great too, because you get to shepherd 400 employees and be a part of this community in a different way. And so when that came, it to be honest, it was a surprise, but it was one that I think my wife and I both felt like, this is where God wants us at a stage of life where really you could be retiring, but how fun to not be doing that and to be able to be a part of this community in a different way.
What do you feel called to?
I'm called to follow Jesus and whatever that entails. And sometimes it's fun stuff. Sometimes it's hard stuff.
Hard like?
Maybe being on a Halloran Hills. No, I don't know. You came to my office a couple of years ago when I first had this position, and I remember I had like 4 or 5 new things on my plate that were way out of my comfort zone. Standing up in front of people, trying to help. Our pastor was retiring, and I was asked to speak at that, and I was like, why me? I'm not an upfront person. Some of those things are the things that I realized, well, God has you there, do it, and do it well for Him, and ask for His power. And I think the fun of that is you get to see maybe the Holy Spirit working in you in ways that you didn't know
imagine
that you were going to do. So,
Yeah.
Yes, one of my biggest challenges in this role at the bank is because I'm 65, I need to find someone else who would be a good leader for this organization. It's a special organization, unique in this community. It's not like other banks. We can't just hire someone from another bank and bring them in. It's our culture is so important to us, and it's so unique in this community and within banking that you really need to raise up someone from inside. And so part of my job the next few years is quickly look at some people that I think, hey, those are good people to do that for us. And fortunately, we've got just lots of people that have that potential. But I've got to help with that development of those people and make sure that they feel comfortable that they, could take on that role.
Let's take a break. When we come back, let's wrap with lessons in possibility. Let me give you the audience. The audience is, I believe you have 9 grandchildren?
Yes.
All right. We get all the grandchildren together. What do they call you?
Pops.
Pops is going to tell them, this is how to have a happy, successful life.
Okay.
More in a moment. This is Anything is Possible.
Coming up.
We met over 20 years weekly, and those relationships, one gave me confidence where I didn't have confidence.
So you have 4 children.
Yes.
And 9 incredible grandchildren.
Yes. 9876543 and 1.
Boom. Name them.
Jake, Mac, Zane, Martha Kate, goes by Mimi, Maggie, Hannah, Lucy, Thomas, Davy.
All right. They're all in a semicircle in front of you.
Yes.
Pops is dispensing wisdom. He's saying, look, from Macaulay to losing my dad, to finding my way, to making it to CEO, to really making it to the heart of God. That's the real accomplishment.
Amen.
What do you tell him?
Number 1 would be definitely get with Jesus. Figure it out. Pray for it. Cry out for it. Whatever it takes, walk with him. There's nothing more important, and it covers all the ups and downs and bumps of life. And life, as you and I know, has some real ups, and it has some things that can be very, very tough for people. And my wife and I, that is our big prayer for them. And then I think just being, a part of their family is such a part of what they do, and for kids, it seems listening to mom and dad and being a part of our group as a family is always important to us. So I'm not a big strategist, but I'm big on
being present.
Being present.
Yeah, get with Jesus, get with your family.
Yeah. And so often on the weekend, it's carving out 1 or 2 or 3 of them and just doing something with them. And that's a big part of what I want to do with my grandkids is just be with them. And I think they pick up stuff.
I think that's where possibility is born, actually. It seems like what you're saying to me is if you press in that relationship, you prioritize that relationship. And then if you press into and prioritize your relationships, then out of that, there's an amazing journey. It was a relationship that put you on the bus
yes.
with Young Life.
Mm-hmm.
It was relationships that groomed you to be CEO.
Yes.
It's relationships that are carrying you in your family, but it's also at Home Federal. It's relationships related to values
yes.
that really drive the enterprise.
It really does, and Home Federal's definitely that way. One of the things when I first came to Knoxville in 1987, I remember we were moving from Nashville, and a really wise man in Nashville said, I hope you won't get too involved in things this first year. He's talking to my wife and me, took us to lunch, and he said, but I am going to be hoping that you develop some deep relationships that first year. And it was just beautiful, but pretty quickly getting here, a guy asked me to be in a little accountability group, some Christian guys, and it turned out to be 5 guys. We called ourselves the Friday Five, and we met over 20 years weekly. And those relationships, one gave me confidence where I didn't have confidence. I was, kind of my background growing up, I just didn't have someone, patting me on the shoulder saying, yeah, well, good job, boy. And these guys were great with that. And then just being able to walk with some other guys with kids the same age and, from preschoolers to grammar to all the issues of teenagers. And even in the bank, a lot of what I love is the one-on-one type relationship at the bank with people and really trying to get behind the culture aspect of Home Federal and who we are and how we do it as a bank makes all the difference in the world and really I think makes us stand out. I hope so.
The Harvard Adult Health Study had one major conclusion: 725 men for 75 years. And its singular conclusion was great relationships make you healthier and happier, period. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time on Anything is Possible.